Hello, YouTube. Let's get this shit show over with, shall we? Let's pop open a drink because I'm gonna be needing it. I think you can already tell where this video is going, yes? I will be doing another rant on Marvel. Only this time I won't be focusing on the rise and fall of Marvel like I did before. I will be talking about Marvel's or some of Marvel's upcoming projects and why they are already dead on arrival. Let's talk about the biggest one that has had the most problems right now. Blade. Now, the original movie, I'm not going to get into the original movie too much, so you don't have to, you don't have to hear me, go on and on about, the good old days, because I'm not going to do that. But yeah, no, the original is one of my favorite movies of all time. It of course stars Wesley Snipes and Stephen Dorff. I'm a huge fan of the character. I love the old, I love the original movies, but this movie, since its announcement 5 years ago at San Diego Comic-Con, has had nothing but problems. And this is obviously due to just the legion of doofuses who run, Disney and Marvel. This is Kevin Feige's idiocy and stupidity. This is Bob Iger's, incompetence and just, not caring about, the brand and and keeping up the consistency like they did during the Infinity Saga. And Kevin Feige really could not have a bigger moron running Marvel. What you guys need to understand is that Kevin Feige himself has said he's not a comic book fan. Okay? So let me ask you guys a question. If you're not a comic book fan, what the hell are you doing here? Right? Right? I mean, if you don't give a rat's about the characters and that in that universe, what the hell are you doing here? And and another thing, I already said, this movie was announced 5 years ago at San Diego Comic-Con. Mahershala Ali revealed that year that he was, and he was actually the one that came to them. He was the, for those of you who don't know, he was the main bad guy for the first half of the Luke Cage Netflix series. He was Cottonmouth, and he was for the first half of the first season, he was the main bad guy. And during his time on that, on that show, he started reading Marvel. And he said that Blade very, very quickly became one of his favorites. And he was actually the one to come to Marvel and say, like, hey, what's going on with Blade? I want to do this. And from what I understand, Marvel had Marvel had a hard time finding an actor for the character until Ali came along and was like, "Hey, I want to do this." And I mean, Wesley Snipes, I mean, come on. I mean, he just, he completely owned that role. Um and Ali has obviously said himself, he's not just a huge fan of the character, but he's also a huge fan of what Wesley Snipes did with the character in his movies. Um, and yeah, and this is, I mean, this movie has literally been shit show after shit show since its announcement. This movie has been delayed, I want to say at least 6 times. It hasn't, like it hasn't even entered production. That's how bad this has been. Good old trustworthy beer. I can always rely on a beer to help me keep my sanity. Anyway, no, I'm joking. But yeah, no, this is the original. From what I understand, from what this movie was originally going to be, was it was going to be a 90-minute movie, and it was only going to have 2 action sequences throughout the entire movie. I'm not even joking. That was literally actually a thing at one point. And given, given, the legion of idiocy surrounding Marvel and Disney these days, that shouldn't surprise you one bit. So for those of you who are like, no, really? I mean, come on. It's like, this is why I'm making this video. But yeah, no, originally it was going to be a 90-minute movie with only 2 action sequences throughout the entire thing. And Mahershala Ali, put his foot down and said, "No, this isn't, this isn't what this movie is going to be." And then it was going to be, Blade was originally going to be the 4th lead character in his own movie. I mean, come on, that's what everybody wants, right? You remember when fans were screaming for for a Blade movie, with Blade as the 4th main character of his own movie. Remember that? Yeah, that was awesome, right? Yeah, that was that's exactly what people wanted. And obviously that didn't end up happening either. Ali again put his foot down. So he has been fighting to really keep Marvel in line with this movie to make sure that it's done right. However, I don't think that this movie is ever going to get made. And me personally, I really, really, really hope that it doesn't. I really, really think that they should just cancel it. Because keep in mind, guys, this movie was announced 5 years ago, right? Mahershala Ali was 45 then. He's 50 now. Okay? That's not a young guy. He is not a young man. And and obviously, like as an actor, you obviously can't wait on one movie forever. Even, it's like, even if it is your dream project, it's like eventually you have to move on. As hard as it is, sometimes you just got to say, you know what, this is taking too long to get made. I have to move on, as much as I hate it. And the difference between Ryan Reynolds fighting for 11 years to get the first Deadpool made, and the difference between that and Blade is obviously, Blade was announced 5 years ago. It was announced, it was supposed to enter, it was announced, it was supposed, basically the movie should have been finished a long time ago. Ryan Reynolds in excuse me, in the case of Deadpool, that movie obviously, it was never, the movie was never, the movie never obviously got worked on until Ryan finally convinced Hollywood to actually go forward and make, and start working on the movie. So, so that's, there's a huge difference between the two. And, and another thing is that, and I can't, and another thing I want to address in this video is, and I know I kind of touched upon this in my Rise and Fall of Marvel review, but I'm going to bring it up again because it's worth bringing up. Marvel is going to continue to fail. I mean, they're like them being on top, their glory days, they're long gone. Like they're over. And and that, like they're over, they're done. Like after Endgame, it's like, after Endgame, it was like, that was it. And, and the other thing about, the other thing I want to bring up about this movie is that it looks like the movie, first of all, the movie lost a while ago, it lost its co-lead. So they were, so they're gone. And it looks like the movie is about to lose Mahershala Ali. Now, I obviously have nothing to confirm this. I haven't seen, any official news. I haven't seen anything from like any reliable news sources, like Mr. H Reviews or, Hollywood Reporter or comicbook.com or, anything like that. I haven't heard anything official saying that he's leaving, but however, I have seen official reports talking about, I have seen official reports saying that Ali is in talks to join the next Jurassic Park movie. And from the sound of that, it looks like that he's finally fed up with just the legion of idiots that, that Marvel, that are at Marvel. And it looks like he's, it looks like he's ready to move on. And honestly, if I were Mahershala Ali, I would have left long ago. I would have been like, you know what? This is bullshit. You guys are, you guys are ridiculous. I'm out of here. And and it really, I mean, the movie has had nothing but problems, since its announcement 5 years ago. It's just been one thing after another. And honestly, I will be shocked if this movie ever gets made. I mean, I've already given you my thoughts on it. I think they should cancel it because, it's like, if you're not going to give Blade, the love and the respect that he deserves, then you don't deserve to be making it. I mean, the fact that Marvel, was on top for 10 years and then, and then, when phase 4 rolled around, it was, we started to see, them, like their downfall, so to speak. Another thing I want to bring up, and I said at the beginning of this video, I would be talking about not just Blade, but upcoming projects. I also want to bring up, another movie that Marvel is making for literally no reason at all. I want to bring up Captain America: New World Order. Now, this was something that they set up, obviously, at the end of Endgame, with Anthony Mackie, getting the shield, with Sam Wilson getting the shield. Not only This is not only a bad idea, but also probably one of the dumbest decisions that Marvel has made. But probably, the dumbest decision that Marvel could have made. Or no, or you know what, that Marvel did, or that Marvel did make during that movie. Um, that Marvel did make during that movie. That, and also how the Hulk looked, which I won't get into. But that, people, I mean, again, again, like Kevin Feige being, the dumbass that he is obviously, too stupid and incompetent to understand this. But nobody, nobody in their right mind is going to give two shits about Anthony Mackie as Captain America. And I'll tell you why. That has nothing to do with that has nothing to do with Sam Wilson as a character. It has, that has nothing to do with Sam Wilson as a character. It's the fact that, excuse me, it's the fact that, yes, that this was a thing in the comics, which brings me to my next point, which brings me to my next point that I'm about to make. That comic run of Sam Wilson, taking over as Captain America, that run didn't sell. When that run came out, that run didn't sell, and not a lot of people liked it. And it's because, and it, and it's because, again, it has nothing to do with Anthony. It has nothing to do with Sam Wilson as a character. It's the fact that during Ed Brubaker's run of Captain America, when Captain America supposedly died, Bucky, the Winter Soldier, when everybody thought him, Captain America dead, Bucky actually became Captain America for a little while. Like, he took over, as Captain America for a little while. And fans loved it. And I mean, Ed Brubaker is, I mean, he's won, so many awards. He won an Eisner Award for Best Writer for his Captain America run during that year. So when it was time for Sam Wilson to pick up the shield, everybody, all the fans and everybody else were pretty much like, why? It's like, why? It's this, this was done already. And that's the issue with doing this, with bringing this story to life. So it's not, it's not, it's not, it's not that, it's not that, I'm trying to be racist or anything like that. No. It, no, or anything like that. No, it's because truly nobody in their right mind is going to give a shit about Anthony Mackie as Captain America. Especially, like, even if you're not a comic book fan, fine. But, even if you're not a comic book fan, fine. But it's like, people who already loved, people who loved Chris Evans as Captain America, like, people, myself included, like, I think, like, I feel that Chris Evans was born to play Captain America. But but it's like MCU fans who truly loved Chris Evans as Captain America are not going to want to see anyone else as Captain America. And that's the other issue right there. And that's like I've literally seen Facebook posts saying bring back Chris Evans as Captain America. And and but going back to Marvel's you know excuse me, going back to Marvel's downfall, I can't even begin to tell you how many morons I've gotten into arguments with online about this, saying, oh, this is, it's, but, but, but it's $1 billion franchise. It's, Spider-Man No Way Home made X amount of money, and the Infinity Saga made everybody loved the Infinity Saga, right? So people are gonna love this. It's like, how lowest common denominator do you want your argument to be? Okay, you're saying, you're basically going off of the assumption that just because, Marvel was on top for so long, that they'll be able, that just because it has the word Marvel on it, it'll automatically make a profit, and it's like, no, Marvel has been failing. Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania was a flop. The Marvels was a flop. Thor Love and Thunder was a flop, as far as I know, anyway. But I mean, I know it caused them to get rid of I know it caused them to get rid of um I know it caused them to get rid of that clown Taika Taika Waititi, and he just he pissed all over that last Thor movie, and and it's just it's been nonstop failure with Marvel now for for quite a while, and it's really it's really looking like that's all they know how to do anymore, is just put out a bunch of shit, and then just and then just not even take in fact, you know what, no, I take that back. They did admit recently that Quantumania and the Marvels was a failure, but did they but did they put out a message saying, oh yeah, we're really sorry about this, we're doing everything within our power to fix we're doing everything within our power to fix it, we're gonna we're gonna we're going to do everything within our power to go back to the way that it was? No, of course not. No, because, and this was another thing I meant to bring up in my Rise and Fall of Marvel review. The other reason why I can't stand Kevin Feige is not once has he ever admitted, not once has he ever said, well, fans didn't like this, so how can we make it better? That is not, speech phrase right there is not in Feige's vocabulary. He is literally incapable of doing that. Because because the legion of morons that run Disney and Marvel, that run Disney and Marvel are not only, what people need to understand is this. Marvel, Marvel had their glory days. Marvel had their Marvel had their time. They had their glory days. That's, it's over. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. It's over. And the fact that they're planning, the fact that, but the fact that they literally acknowledged, the fact that they literally acknowledged the failure of some of their movies, and on top of that, they're planning more failure, just goes to show you that they've learned nothing, and they're incapable of learning nothing. They're gonna, and they are literally, it's like how, it's like, how many times are you gonna shoot yourselves in the foot before you finally admit, hey, we fucked up? How can we fix it? And it's, it's ridiculous. And this was something else I forgot to bring up in my Rise and Fall of Marvel review. The everything that Marvel has been doing lately. I mean, I kind of mentioned this in my Rise and Fall of Marvel review. If you haven't seen it yet, if you haven't seen it yet, please watch it. Another thing I didn't bring up. Another thing I didn't bring up in my Rise and Fall of Marvel review is Marvel for a long time. I mean, I guess I sort of mentioned this, but I'll bring it up again. Marvel, for those 10 years, Marvel was obviously on top for a long, long time. And whenever a new project got announced, you knew right then that they were going to make something special. You knew that it was, that they were going to make a good movie, and that it was going to be something, that people, millions and millions all over, were going to love and enjoy. And there used to be something that set Marvel apart from other franchises. And, like there used to be a time when you used to be able to rely, there used to be a time when you didn't have to worry about, interference from the studio. And that's so many things. And, that's so many, and that's so many things that, and that's mainly the thing that other movies suffered from. Like the Hobbit trilogy suffered from it. David Ayer's Suicide Squad suffered from it. Zack Snyder's Justice League, the theatrical version, suffered from it. Batman versus Superman suffered from it. Batman Forever suffered from it. And all these other movies, it's like there was a time when we didn't have to worry about that. There used to be a time where we could trust Marvel, to do the right thing, to give us a good movie, to give us, to give us something special. We didn't have to worry about, studio interference or any of that other crap that plagued, so many other movies. And now, and that used to be what made Marvel special. Now Marvel is just like any other movie studio now. And Marvel is just like, any other movie studio now. Nothing, they're not, you know, they've lost, like what made them so special. And 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 it's been going on for far too long. But you know what? It's not going to change. It's not going to change because Marvel is, the first step, you know, the first the first step, um like if Marvel was ever going to redeem themselves, the first step obviously would be to admit that they're doing something wrong and learning from it. But they aren't going to do that. They aren't going to do that. They admitted that they're wrong, that they admitted, that some of their recent projects were a flop, but here they are planning more failure. So, it's like, look at it this way, guys. It's like one step forward, two steps back. That's what, that's what Marvel is now. And it's not going to change. And, and this, but going back to I want to go back to what I was saying about the Captain America movie. The movie has had multiple test screenings. I don't remember off the top of my head how many. I think it's had maybe like 2 or 3 at the most, and they've all been a shit show. Literally, like fans, literally, like people are hating how this movie is going over, and right now, last I heard, it was in the middle of reshoots. I think this might be like the second or third time that they're reshooting this POS. But and it's again, it's a movie that nobody asked for. They're just, they're doing it just to do it. They're doing it as a desperate roll of the dice, to keep milking this, franchise for as long as possible. And they, and they expect this steaming pile of horseshit to make money. I mean, it's like how, I just, I wish I could meet Kevin Feige in person just so I can be like, seriously, how are you this stupid? I mean, another thing I want to bring up is, I don't recall if I mentioned this in my Rise and Fall of Marvel video or not, but the another show of proof that you can see that there's no plan is look at all the recent post-credit scenes that they've set up in some of their projects. You literally have who the hell knows, like, how many different post-credit scenes in these things going in, like multiple different directions, and going in, multiple different directions, and Marvel themselves literally have no clue where they're going. They're setting up, all these different things with literally no idea of where they're going to go, or if they're going to go anywhere at all. Like like there was supposed to be a teaser for um there was supposed to be a teaser for Blade in the Eternals movie of all things. And I don't remember if they removed it or not. I don't remember if they removed it or not. So I can't say for sure if they, if they did or not. But I mean, it, but it's just, nothing that Marvel does anymore just makes any sense. And and that's, and they don't care. Like they don't, like when Phase 4 was still going on, Kevin Feige himself even literally admitted in an interview, he's like, literally admitted in an interview, he's, yeah, I mean, he didn't say these exact words, but he obviously didn't say these exact words, but this basically might as well, have been it. He basically said something along the lines of, yeah, he basically said something along the lines of, yeah, we know people are confused, and guess what? I don't give a shit. I mean, that says it all right there. I mean, if that, if that doesn't tell you how much of an idiot he is, then I don't know what does. I mean, seriously, I think that says it all right there. This is all the stuff that's going on now is a result of Kevin Feige's piss poor leadership and confidence in pure idiocy. And obviously, complete lack of plan. And this is this is how it is now, and this is why I haven't watched, and this is why I haven't watched a single, Marvel project since Spider-Man No Way Home. I mean, yes, I'm obviously going to go see Deadpool and Wolverine, but that's just because Ryan Reynolds, fought to the nail to get complete creative control over the movie, as he should be, as he should, because obviously, he loves that character more than anything. And you can definitely bet, that Kevin Feige wouldn't, Kevin Feige would have found a way to piss all over it. But yeah, I mean, it's just, the stuff that's going on now, it's completely unacceptable. And it makes me really feel like it makes me really feel like they were just waiting for Stan Lee to die, just so, just so they could, start, pulling crap like this. Another thing, while we're on the topic of Stan Lee, there's something else I want to bring up. I want to bring up the Fantastic Four movie that they've got planned, which is going to be another shit show in itself. That movie, that's another Marvel property that's had problem after problem after problem. The casting is, first of all, the casting is absolutely atrocious. Now these are obviously incredible actors. Like, that's not the problem with this movie. The problem is that they're all too old. They're all too old, and they don't look anything like their comic book counterparts. Like Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards. I mean, and another thing I want to bring up, and another perfect example of Kevin Feige's idiocy, is, according to him, the reason why they're not doing the origin story for the Fantastic Four is because, according to him, it's like, oh, everyone already knows it. Let me ask you guys something. If I went out there right now to some random person on the street and said to them, "Tell me the origin of the Fantastic Four," do you really think that they would know what I'm talking about? No, that they obviously wouldn't. I just, I, not doing the origin for the Fantastic Four in the, for your first Fantastic Four movie is like, it would be like, it would be like not doing the origin story for like, for like Iron Man, or, it would be like not doing the origin story for like Iron Man, or, the Guardians of the Galaxy, or Doctor Strange, or Ant-Man, or, it's like before these movies get made, not many people, non-comic book wise, know who these characters are. And that's obviously one of the reasons why the origin story is so important, because it helps establish who these characters are, and it helps, it builds, character development, and it builds, character development and depth, and depth to the, to the story and the characters, and by not doing that, for the first, for your first Fantastic Four movie, you're basically saying, screw it, we'll just do whatever we want. And, and this is the kind of stuff that pisses me off, as you can, as you can obviously already tell. And it's, and and another thing I want to bring up. All right. Sorry about that, guys. Another thing I want to bring up is, another thing I want to bring up before I end this video is they are using Galactus as the main villain for this movie. Doing Galactus as the main villain for this movie would have been like Marvel using Thanos for the first Avengers movie. You don't just do that right off the bat. You build up to it. You build up to something like that. That's huge. I mean, that's that takes like multiple movies, as we saw, with, with Thanos. They didn't just stick Thanos in there right away. They built up to him. They built up, that tension and that threat, and that, that level, that level of threat, that Thanos poses. It's the same thing with Galactus, but they aren't doing that. They're just, Marvel is just, Marvel is just continuing to just, pull stuff out of their asses, and just, and just go with it. Whether I, without even thinking, about, like, is this really a good idea? But yeah, this, I mean, it just, it makes no sense for this to happen. It makes no sense for stuff like this to happen. And I mean, Marvel has obviously lost, fans, all across the board. You know, people on Twitter are people on Twitter are coming around to the idea of um are coming around to the idea that Marvel's has truly lost their way. um and it's like, and it's, as I said before, when a new project, when a new Marvel project is announced, I don't give a shit. I'm just like, yeah, I'm not even gonna waste my time. um but yeah, anyway, let me know what you guys think. Like, subscribe, and I will talk to you guys later. All right, peace.